Ever since the day that you went away,
Hi guys, my name is Andra and I make commentary and lifestyle videos. About a month ago I've made a video titled Why I Think Lexa is Coming Back or something like that, and it's actually received quite a lot of views, a lot more than I expected for a channel my size. So I decided to kind of chime in with my opinions on the finale of the 100, because it was in some aspects messy, but in some aspects it was actually better than I expected. So I thought the best way to do this would be my main 10 takeaways on what happened in the finale. Most of this is gonna be character centric because honestly the plot is just, it's been stupid for a while, for a few seasons now. So I don't wanna talk too much about the plot because there's really not much to say other than I didn't like it. But I wanna talk about the characters because a lot of them have actually been really well fleshed out. So 10 things, as I said, and if you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe because I'm getting back into YouTube after a short break and I would love to have your support, guys. Number one is just gonna be a general thought. I think this season would have needed at least 20 episodes to wrap it up in a way that didn't feel rushed, because a lot of what was happening was not explained. I will make an assumption and say that I suppose it was deliberate that the whole lore of this alien creatures is not explained. I think Jason didn't want to explain it, but I'm not sure how much of that was because he wanted to leave it up to the viewers and how much of that was because he didn't know how to write it. I don't really have confidence in him, as a lot of us Clarke and Lexa fans don't have a lot of confidence in him. And yeah, I don't trust him that he would have been capable enough to write the whole world building of an alien race without messing it up. So I think he just avoided it altogether because he was scared. And the whole rules of transcendence, what does that mean? They mention a collective consciousness, which is a concept that we use as well in our world in real life, and that's about it. They don't mention which other races transcended, like where were they from? Did any other human try to transcend? They said Becca went there and refused the test. What did Becca say? Can you show us maybe a flashback or something? That would have been like actually a good addition. It would have made sense if, you know, Becca's refusing the test but then Clarke failed it. So maybe like parallel between them, because Clarke was, well, she intended to be a commander for a while and she was inside the City of Light and talked to Becca, I believe. And yeah, it was just, it would have been something really that would really good, that would tie the plot together, I think, in my opinion. Also, the dog at the end was just too convenient. They was just there. Like, do only humans transcend? Do only technologically able beings transcend? So obviously that would not include other animals except for humans. So is that a rule? Because I don't think that's mentioned, at least as far as I remember. And the whole only the people who are living can transcend. Okay, where do the people who die go? Like, is there an afterlife in the 100 universe? Because that would actually help to tie a lot of subplots in together, and it would be useful, I think, in my opinion. I would have maybe approached that. Just a lot of the science was not explained, all the travel. Why did these aliens build the stones? What's the purpose of them? For them to travel, if they are like higher beings who are immaterial, why do they need stones? Did the Bardons build the stones? Like, there's not been any conclusive explanation for all of this. It's just been hints after hints, but never like a full explanation. I would have liked to see that. Number two is the concept of the test. The test is just talking about the nature of people, I assume, because that's what they do with Raven. I'm happy that it was my girl Raven who took the test because she's saved their asses so many times. Probably even more than Clarke. I think Raven's like the one that saved them the most, and then Clarke. And the only thing that I was not happy with is Raven seeing Abby, who has been just really abusive to Raven. Like, she's physically harmed her multiple times. And we know Raven has like mommy issues and stuff, but that does not excuse it. It wasn't great. I didn't like it. I would have rather seen Finn, and I actually hate Finn. So that says a lot. But if it were up to me, obviously that depends on actor availability and like other things, but if it were up to me, I would have got the person who was Raven's mentor, Sinclair, because that would have made a lot of sense as well. Like, it said your greatest teacher, and that would have not been Abby. I don't think so, because what did Abby really teach Raven? Other than, if you take the part with the greatest love, yeah, okay, fair enough. But Sinclair was someone that I assume Raven loved, as well as her teacher. So that just would have made more sense. But then again, we don't know what the reason is that he was not picked. Maybe it was just actor availability. But like as I said, I'm happy that Raven actually got the recognition that she deserves as a character, because she's been slept on for too long. Number 3, discussion on the prequel. So when Cadogan goes to take the test, he sees his daughter, and we see the outfit that she's wearing is really resembling Lexa's previous outfits. So it looks very much like a commander outfit. So from that, we can probably assume that she was the commander. Because I don't think it explicitly said that she's the commander. I think it just said that she was the Flamekeeper, not the commander. So maybe she was the commander, or maybe since she invented the Tree Crew language, then maybe she invented their lifestyle as well, including the ways that they would wear armor, because that seemed to have passed down from Kali to Lexa somehow. But yeah, I think the reason she was there was just to advertise the prequel, which I hope nobody watches. If I watch it, I'm gonna watch it illegally. Like, I've watched 100, I've never watched it live because I'm not American, so it's not like I'm giving them anything by watching it. But yeah, I don't know what more to say about that. I think I'm just happy that he didn't get to transcend, because he was horrible as a person. He was willing to sacrifice a child when you had the Shade also on Bardo, and they didn't try to get the memories out of him because he's had Flame too, so he would have known the things that Maddie would know as well. So I don't understand why they didn't try to take Shade first to MCAP, and then if it didn't work because his mind would be too strong or whatever, after that you can attempt to take Maddie. But no, his first option was just let's torture a child, and I'm just surprised that nobody mentioned that Clarke or even Bellamy or nobody mentioned that maybe Shade would know these things instead. Maybe that's the less harmful, less horrible way, and it doesn't require you to harm a child. It's just a horrible person. Like, Shade deserves to die anyways. And just a lot of inconsistencies with Cadogan's character, like when he insisted that Maddie shows him his daughter in her memories. The guy Levitt, he like caught on to that, because obviously they're taught not to love anyone and just for all mankind, whatever, like you're not supposed to care about your family. But this man, after 100 years, he still cares about his daughter, and he's a hypocrite, effectively. He's teaching all these people don't care about anyone, but he can't do that himself. And Levitt, like, I think he like catches on to that because he makes a funny face, but it's never brought up again. That would be a betrayal, I think, in my opinion, if the leader that you look up to does something that goes against the dogma that he's been teaching all his people. Then people would have to know about this. He would have probably like snitched. In my opinion, that's what the natural thing would have happened. You know, if you find out that everything you ever believed in is a scam, then you wouldn't just brush it off and 2 seconds later nobody mentions it again. Number 4 is obviously Clarke and Lexa. I was really happy to see Alicia again. I know technically she wasn't Lexa, but I think the performance kind of included parts of Lexa's character. So you can see Lexa, like the way Lexa used to look at Clarke with her puppy eyes full of love. You can see that in the performance. And when Clarke hugs the alien thing that is wearing Lexa's face, she closes her eyes. Like, she would have no reason to do that if it wasn't the real Lexa. So it's just a weird, convoluted way of playing the character. But I think it was intentional. I think that both Alicia and probably Jason wanted the performance to include the things that we loved about Lexa, so that people don't complain anymore, because, to be fair, we should still complain. I'm not happy, because that's not Lexa, so it's still not the end game. It just confirms stuff that we already know since what? We've known it since season 3. That Lexa is Clarke's greatest love, Lexa is Clarke's teacher, Lexa is Clarke's failure. Like, we know all these things because they've been mentioned to us and we could see it on screen anyways. So it's not like it's giving us anything new. But one good thing that this does is it opens up space for a lot of just fanfic and headcanons on what's gonna happen with that. So there were people saying that maybe this was actually Lexa, but she didn't want to tell Clarke that it's her because she didn't want to stop Clarke from continuing to live her life and just be happy with what she's got left. And I've also seen people saying that maybe Clarke and Lexa will be together after Clarke dies, in the place that people go if they don't transcend, so like heaven or whatever. If they could be together in the afterlife, that would still be an end game. But even if it's not, it's good to know that Clarke actually never loved anyone after that, and she never moved on. It's sad, but at the same time it confirms what we already knew as fans. And anyway, Clarke can have Gaia and Nyla now, so she can have 2 girlfriends. Number 5 is the endgame between Jackson and Miller. I think that was purely fan service because they couldn't kill another gay character after all the scandal with CLEXA. But I'm happy for the people who are LGBTQ+ and thought that that was representation for them. Obviously, as a woman, I would rather have 2 women, and it doesn't really make me feel like I relate to them, but I'm happy that they tried in a way to make up for their mistakes. It's not sufficient, and I don't forgive them personally, but at least they didn't kill one of them, because I fully expected that, if I'm being honest. Number 6 is Octavia as a character. I love that she got someone to be with her in the end, but at the same time she did not forget her greatest love, which is Lincoln. I wish I would have seen him in the finale as well, but I know why he wasn't there, because Jason's being racist to the actors, so that's fucking great. What can I say? To sum it up, other than the obvious references to Lincoln, such as the face paint and the sword fighting, which is obviously what Octavia has learned from him, Octavia actually played Lincoln's role in this episode, which was a really good touch in my opinion. The way that she went in the middle of the people to try to stop them from fighting is exactly the role that Lincoln used to have. He was the mediator, he was the pacifist of the grounders, and I think Octavia doing that kind of honored his memory in a really, really great way. That was something that I wouldn't have thought that they would do. It didn't even cross my mind, but it was really, really good. And on to number 7, just friendships and forgiveness. I think most of the characters have at that point, or if not, even all of them, have forgiven each other, and that is most notable with the way Octavia and Echo stayed together. Echo, who tried to kill Octavia before, Octavia, who tried to kill Echo before, they both let go of just all the old hatred, and when Octavia ran to save Levitt, Echo followed, and I think even Octavia was shocked in that moment that she would do that. They both share the loss of Bellamy, and in a situation like that, losing the person who would keep you from being at each other's throats could have resulted in them fighting, but it didn't. It made them stronger together. And when Echo said that she wouldn't lose Octavia too because she lost Bellamy, and then Octavia's willingness to just save everyone, and that includes Echo, that shows that the forgiveness is a big deal in the show, and I like that. Another thing that I liked, that would be number 8, is the Grounders culture. You could see that, once again, the Grounders are accustomed to war, but they do listen to strong figures of authority, that being either Indra or Octavia in this episode. You could also see the specific tribes and their own cultures. You could see the differences in armor. You could see Echo with her Asgera war paint with the white, and you could see Nyla with war paint, which I think was the first time that she had that on, and that was great. I think it was a combination of Tricru and Asgera, considering she had the black from the Asgera one instead of the smudged black that Tricru has, but she didn't have the white. So I think it was just intentionally made to be a combination of these two because of her parents, and I think that was a really nice touch. As well as, all the Grounder culture, the blood must have blood, everything like that is already brought back, and I think that was the thing that made me continue to watch the show, or just Grounders in general. So I was happy to see it. And Maddie herself, who was the least Grounder out of all of them, she chose to transcend because she thought that that was what Clarke would have wanted, which is probably true. It was sad that she didn't come back for Clarke, but I can understand why. And if I'm being honest, I think Maddie was the most, like I said, non-grounder out of all of them. And her place would have been with the people from Sanctum, I think, in my opinion, because that's where she spent her developmental time, let's say. Because before that, she grew up with only Clarke in a very, very isolated space. And to get from that to my ninth point, which would be Jordan, because the kids of the 100 have this recurring theme of growing up isolated. That's Maddie only having Clarke in her life, Hope only having Octavia and Diosa, and then the random Bardo guy, and then Gabriel and Echo. So she's been raised very, very sheltered in the same way that Maddie was by Clarke. And also Jordan, who's been raised on the spaceship only with Harper and Monty and no other contacts. So all these kids are very, very socially awkward, even though they grew up. Two of them are fully adults and Maddie was a teenager, and they're all like very, very socially awkward, and I like that. I think that's a good touch, because you wouldn't expect them to suddenly be sociable and friendly if they haven't really had friendships. And I think it makes sense that Jordan and Hope ended up together because, as I said, they led very, very similar lives. I wish there was more development because it felt quite abrupt and random. That's why I'm saying 20 plus episodes would have been the best, I think, in my opinion. But one thing that I really did not like about Jordan's character is that every time something happens, he mentions Monty, but he's never actually mentioned his mother, Harper. And I think it's just kind of ironic that for a show that is so focused on the theme of motherhood, with just so many examples. You've got Abby and Clarke, Maddie and Clarke, the relationship between Bellamy and his mother, which is shown like at the very last moment, Raven and Abby being her mother figure, Octavia and Indra, Gaia and Indra, Hope and Diosa. Like, you see all of this and you would expect maybe motherhood to be important, but I feel like in Jordan's case it's not, just because Harper was more of a passive character. She did not have a skill that no one else did, but she was very, very good and a trustworthy friend and a good addition to the team. So I really don't understand why they're doing My Girl So Dirty just to praise Monty, because yeah, Monty was like more tech savvy and intelligent in that way, but it doesn't and it shouldn't diminish the importance of motherhood, in my opinion. And lastly, I want to talk about Murphy, because I feel like Murphy is the character who maybe got the most development out of all of them. He went from being the most selfish, just a rude piece of shit of character, to someone who's willing to sacrifice his life just to spend a few moments with Emori. And if you think about Emori, in the Grounders world, she's unattractive. She's an oddity because of her disability. The Grounders consider her just cursed and unwanted, and for this character who's completely selfish to fall in love with somebody who's been the pariah of society and effectively rejected, you would expect someone like Murphy in the first seasons to go for someone who's like conventionally attractive, loved by everyone, who has suitors at her feet. But no, he goes for the pariah of society, which I think was what kickstarted his growth as a character. He wouldn't have grown without Emori in the way that he did, because he just realized that it doesn't matter what people do to you, what people say to you. Emori was rejected by everyone and she was kind, and that taught him something. And it was great to see that he was willing to sacrifice himself just to be with her for a while longer. And it was also great to see that everyone was banding together to help Emori. Like, you saw Raven's desperation and you saw Jackson. And I think Emori, she's been considered a sad character throughout the whole thing. She's always been a character when Murphy was on stage, let's say, and she was there like a side character when he was in the scene. She's never actually had the agency that she deserved, and because of that, people kind of sidelined her and didn't care much about her. So it was great to see people like Raven, who's always saving everyone, see Raven prioritize Emori over everyone. That was great. That was a good touch. So overall, some good, some bad. The resolution was pretty satisfactory. I think just everyone giving up on their immortality to stay with Clarke was good, because without Clarke they wouldn't have been alive by that point anyways. So I think it's good that they wanted her not to be alone, and I liked that. But obviously, while this episode, like the finale itself, was okay, it does not excuse for the 4 seasons of just dreadful stuff, or well, 3.5, let's say, after Lexa died. It just became horrible. So much inconsistency and just so many plot holes, so many continuity issues, so many things that are not explained, so many actions out of character. But the only thing that actually made sense, and people are gonna be pissed at me for saying that, the only thing that made sense was Bellamy and what he did. Clarke tried to kill him many times over Maddie and over other things. So why do people think that it's out of character for Clarke to try to kill Bellamy? when this had a precedent, or well, multiple precedents. It's happened before. So why do people think that it was so out of character for him? I don't think it was. And I don't think it was out of character for Bellamy to get so brainwashed, because this whole, bloodshed, everything, Bellamy had serious PTSD. So I think for him to, like Echo said, to make sense of what was going on, it gave him something to fight for that he didn't have before. I think he was just worn out and just tired of everything, and that gave him something. And it makes sense, in my opinion. I'm sad that Echo didn't get more of a resolution, because she was barely there when it comes to, talking about Bellamy and all that. She had a bit of a reaction when Clarke told her, but Octavia talked about Bellamy in this, like in the finale episode, whereas Echo didn't. Well, she did for 1 second when she told Octavia that she loves Bellamy, but I just feel like maybe Echo deserved more, in my opinion, out of all of this. What do you guys think? I would like to know your opinions, if you think that it was good, if you're happy with the Clarke and Lexa reunion. I'm half happy, I would say. I'm happy to see Lexa on screen, but just the bad writing accompanying everything kind of soured it for me. But let me know what you think, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for more commentary, and I will see you soon, probably in a few days.
Ever since the day that you went away.